Welcome to Battle Brothers TV. I'm Trevor, your host across the endless battlefields of the 41st millennium. This video is for new people who have very little experience with Warhammer 40,000 or its lore and setting. I've seen many videos like this over the years, but most of them go into too much detail and they don't start off at a very basic level in order to garner a very basic understanding of what we're even talking about when we talk about the setting, the lore, and the history of Warhammer 40,000. For me to get into Warhammer 40,000 several years ago, right after my son was born, I actually had to start by reading books and really learn about the lore and the history. I watched some YouTube videos, and I'll tell you, Warhammer 40,000 is a setting that kind of requires its own encyclopedic knowledge in order to even read one of the novels. That being said, they're really interesting books, and there's a lot of information in them. A lot of really cool things happen. Obviously, it's a story and a setting that a lot of people have completely fallen in love with. This video will be the first part of a two-part video series about the very basic lore and history of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, Warhammer 40K is actually a tabletop war game that is played with bunches of little plastic miniatures or metal miniatures back in the day. You paint them up, you kind of collect the armies that you like, and you battle them against another player. We'll get into how to play Warhammer 40,000 in another video. As far as the lore and the history of the game world, the 40,000 in Warhammer 40,000 actually refers to the year 40,000 in our timeline, the 41st millennium. So it's actually 38,000 years from now in Earth's future, in the future of humanity. It's not some alternate world or universe like some other sci-fi and fantasy franchises. Imagine that right now, as you are sitting and watching this video, somewhere on Earth is a human that is almost the perfect example of humankind, of Homo sapiens. This human is immortal. He was born 8,000 years ago, and after he discovered his incredible power and his psychic power, he decided that he would take it upon himself to protect and guide mankind throughout its history, because he could see things that they could not. He could see their greatest challenges in the future, and he knew that only he had the power to help them overcome it. Now, this guy was born in what is modern-day Turkey, and what he would do to kind of guide humanity along is he would hide in the shadows throughout history. He would only ever emerge when he was really needed to guide and escort humanity through some of its most turbulent times. He would show up possibly as a great political figure, a conqueror, a uniter, someone who was a great commander in a very important battle or war, even showing up sometimes as religious leaders and messiahs. Now, this individual will eventually become the Emperor of Mankind, and eventually he'll even be known as the God Emperor of Mankind. He will eventually be worshipped for his sort of omnipresence, his enormous psychic potential, and the fact that he has escorted and maintained humanity throughout its enormous and turbulent history. And also, as the second part of this video, I want you to imagine that all throughout history, whenever we have encountered witches, mages, shaman, medicine men, voodoo practitioners, sorcerers, and psychics that have all claimed to use powers that are beyond human comprehension, they actually weren't lying. They really were doing so. Now, this magic, this potential, this psychic energy wasn't some mystical force that you might find in Star Wars or in Dungeons and Dragons settings or anything like that. It is actually an alternate plane of existence that lays just across the plane of existence that we live in, the prime material plane. This plane eventually becomes known as the warp. By channeling the power of the warp, these individuals with this magical or psychic potential can actually enforce their will on the universe or even on the minds of others to make changes. Perhaps this was even a next or a necessary step in human evolution. As it turns out, throughout human history, all of these people have tried to warn humanity about the horrors and dangers that trickle from this nightmare realm that some have even come to call hell. We didn't take their warnings seriously until we stumbled across it for ourselves. So the warp did not always exist. It was actually created by psychic thoughts and manifestations, negative feelings and emotions that were brought out by every psychically gifted species in the Milky Way galaxy. And possibly even further than that, but that's all that we know about. That's what Warhammer 40,000 focuses on, is the Milky Way galaxy specifically. So out of the warp are actually born three extremely powerful essences or identities. These beings actually subsist on different aspects of negative emotions from the psychically gifted species throughout the galaxy. Humanity is included in that pool. For all intents and purposes, they are basically gods, and they actually eventually come to be known as the Chaos Gods. In the beginning, there are three of them. The first is Nurgle, or Papa Nurgle. That one always makes me chuckle. He is the god of plague, pestilence, diseases of the body, mind, and soul. Number two is Khorne, the blood god. He is the god of blood, war, hatred, rage, and murder. And finally, number three, Tzeentch, the changer of ways. He is the god of plans, ambition, schemes, change, fate, lies, and sorcery. Once born, these chaos gods begin to scheme and war upon the sentient species of the Milky Way galaxy, hoping to bring about terrible ends and punishment, hoping to bring about suffering to every living creature in the galaxy. That's just their thing. It's what they do. I think it's creepy. Maybe you do too. I don't know. So at this point, things are kind of getting out into right field a little bit. Getting a little complicated, right? Well, this is only history so far. We haven't even made it through the 38,000 years leading up to the terrors and the endless wars and destruction of the 41st millennium. We will get into that in the next video. So remember, for more updated content every single week like this, like book reviews, like game sessions, like game reviews, be sure to hit that subscribe button and blast that bell icon for notifications. I know it's a while away because we just now started the channel, but once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we're going to start doing various contests and giveaways, hopefully every couple of weeks. So stick around, stay subscribed. Until next time, I'm Trevor, your guide through the endless battlefields of the 41st millennium, and this has been Battle Brothers TV. We'll see you on the battlefield.